Oh, hello there. It's been a while since I talked to someone here in this old mine. I guess you're wondering what I'm doing here. A tender engine in such a unfamiliar place to me. Well, the thing is, I am dead. An engine that died a long time ago. And now I'm set to wander the mine, and I can't get out. This is the story of how this all happened. It's one of true terror, romance, and loss. My name is Rachael, and this is my story. I was built in 1933. I was built at Croven's Gate Works. My name is Rachael, and I'm an experimental version of the Grizzly A1. The fact is, I was built off the A1, but with slight modifications, of course, with an LMS 9F style cylinder and a Fowler style tender, and I was painted in a beautiful dark pink, purple livery. I didn't have an official number at the time, so I was given an experimental number, 55701. Unlike the A1s that are built for passenger service only, I was different. I was used for both freight and passenger service. I was described as a mixed traffic locomotive, a locomotive that would carry both passengers and freight. I had chose my livery, and I chose my number too. It's very odd knowing that an engine can pick her number and her livery, but I did, and I loved it. I soon arrived on Sodor in December 1933. I was built because there was an engine shortage on Sodor, and there were very limited amount of engines. I remember all of them. There were 6 tank engines, then there was Edward, Thomas, Gordon, Henry, and Red. Red was an engine that always had a bad feeling about him, but he didn't talk much to me. Nobody didn't spoke much. I always wanted to meet him, but I never did. I didn't know why. Some of the engines liked me, but others, like Gordon, did not. He said I was too cheerful, too kind, and he even said that tender engines can't shunt when he realizes that I was shunting my own trains. I scolded him for this, saying that trains can be anything, and tender engines can do anything too. So we're not only tender engines, we are also shunting engines. That shut him right up, and he just remained quiet every time he saw me. Henry, Edward, and Thomas were very fond of me, and I was put on to work on the main line, carrying both passengers and freight trains, sometimes both at once. Sodor was a happy little place where engines can just come and go. The passengers adored me. The coaches adored me. Everybody adored me. I was not arrogant nor snooty. I just wanted to get my job done and be a really useful engine, and I did. However, there was something that was missing. Someone you would love. That's what I was looking for. An engine that would care for me. An engine that would love me. An engine that would comfort me in case of dread or tragedy. And then in 1935, I met my match. In 1935, we got a new new tank engine to help out with the extra freight work. He was a cousin of Thomas, a London, Brighton, South Coast Railway E4 class locomotive. His name was Nigel. He was a cute but extremely shy engine, and he always didn't want to talk much to anyone, which surprised me, because honestly, tender engines were always so chirpy and lovable. But not Nigel. He was lovable, of course, he was also very shy, very withdrawn. From what I saw of him, he only wanted to do his work. Though at times we met, and he was extremely kind. And then there were some cases where he would be so loving that I would have a crush on him. I didn't tell him this right off the bat, because I was just too young to admit to say this. He was a bit old. He was way older than me, actually. Then I was sent to work on steel contracts, which was basically most of the time because I was basically used on them. Nigel will be put on the passenger trains that I used to carry, and he was a very strong tank engine, I must say. I was very impressed. He didn't realize this since he was too busy working, which I also liked about him. Despite not being very talkative, he still did his work, and that's what I loved about him. Then, I actually told him about this in one night in 1938. I always had a fondness of the brown livery that the London Brighton South Coast Railway drew. Nigel was the first engine I'd ever seen wearing this. He was such a kind, lovable engine, with a very handsome paint scheme, and I adored it very much. It was a crisp, beautiful night, and I just returned to my shed after delivering a passenger train. I was feeling in my shed, which was relocated near the Wellsworth station. That's when I met Nigel again. The moon shone brightly, and his brown paint scheme gleamed. He seemed very tired. I asked him what was wrong. He said this: "Well, you see, Rachel, I've been working since last night. Last night I had to take a fully loaded fish train, and all day I had to be with the steel trains, and the passenger trains too. It's been a long, tiring day. Can I sleep here for the night?" "Of course," I said. He looked very tired, and I knew this. And then I asked him this: "Nigel, why do you carry all those trains all at once? You know it could tire you out." And he said this: "Listen, Rachel, even though they're trains, there is something special to me. They're my work. They're my pride. What do we do for these people? We deliver their milk, their fish, their meat, their goods, anything. We take them to their destinations. That's what we do. We are locomotives." I was amazed and mesmerized at what he said that night, and that's when I said that I loved him. To my surprise, he said it back, and from then on, we became lovers to the end. But that was about to change. The Second World War broke out in September 1939, and then that's when our lives changed. Me and the other engines started to see that we were carrying less and less passenger trains and more goods trains. Most importantly, military trains and evacuation trains. Only a few engines, like Gordon, were only allowed to pull passenger trains. Others, like myself, due to my strength and overall size, were used for the freight trains. It was very hard work. And then Nigel also had a change in his physical body. He was painted in the very handsome black livery that most locomotives of the World War II time had. And I adored this very much, and he took this with pride, saying that "Just a paint scheme, Rachel. There's nothing too special about it." I said this: "Anything is special to me, especially you." He was touched by this, and then he began to show just how kind he really was. And he was taking the troop trains while I was carrying the steel trains. Now I guess you're wondering, where did all these steel trains go to? Well, you see, near the station of Cronk lays the Cronk scrapyard, where many scrapyard materials were to be taken to. However, another track leads to a different place, and that is the Sodor Cronk mine. The Sodor Cronk mine was not in use anymore, as it had been gone within 7 years. However, the Cronk scrapyard was still in operation. However, it was used little back in the early days, when it was only used to carry small materials, like cranes and stuff. But after the Second World War began, it began to be used for something else, creating Sherman tanks, guns, anything that would be used for the war effort. I would take these trains And then I would have the most heartbreaking task, carrying the dead locomotives to the scrapyard where they would be melted down and turned to new things. Yes, as you all may know, on the mainland, many engines died during the Second World War in bombings of the Luftwaffe. These steel heaps of junk were once a former lovable engines. These engines were put on flatbeds and would be taken over to the Vickerstown area, where I would take them to the Cronk scrapyard. It was a very heartbreaking task, but Nigel had it worse. He had to carry the hospital trains. He didn't suffer any of this, as he always put it through, but deep inside, I knew he was having trouble with this, knowing that innocent people were dying in such a heartless war. And he would suffer the most shock of all, my own demise. Come think of it, I'm so sorry for what had happened to me, as I left Nigel without a lover. To this day. It was December 1943. The war was waging on, and still, steel trains were needed to carry the tanks, the guns, the people. I carried these trains to and from the Cronk scrapyard. It was very heartbreaking work, but I'd do it whatever the cost. I worked well into the night and well into the day. Then, on December 21st, 1943, came the night of my death. It was a very cold night. A light snow had drifted, as well as a thick fog. I was preparing to leave with the last steel train of the day to the Cronk scrapyard. There, I would spend the night and return home the next day. Nigel was there too. He was about to set home. He warned me of the dangers of snow, and I gladly accepted it. He then said something like this: "Rachel, what would happen if we never saw each other again?" Well, let's say like this: wherever we are, we're always with each other, but no matter what. He was very touched by this, I could tell, and so he wished me good night, and he left. Around 5 minutes later, I would say, the guard blew his whistle. My crew, which were brothers actually, ordered me to set off, and I happily obliged, blowing my whistle. The moon shone brightly as I set off with my train. It was still a very, very cold night, but I didn't mind. I carried trains like these hundreds of times, but was still wondering of my load. My load was that of dead steam locomotives. I didn't put this ahead of my mind, however, and I still pressed on throughout my journey. However, something seemed off around 35 minutes into the trip. At this time, I would have reached my destination, the Cronk scrapyard, but I didn't. I just kept going. My crew was wondering the same thing. "We would have been here by now," said my driver. "Yeah, indeed," said my fireman, and we kept going, on and on. At this point, I saw a small tunnel near a small water tower. "Maybe the scrapyard's in this tunnel. Maybe when we get the other side of this tunnel, we'll find out what's going on," I said to my crew, and they obliged. I repressed to the tunnel. However, it was very different than what I was expecting. When we came out of the tunnel, we came across a sight of pure scariness. What we saw was an old mine. Many buildings were old and rusty, and the tracks underneath me began to groan from the weight. I was shocked to learn that it was in fact the Sodor Cronk scrapyard. I was shocked, and then I realized I was heading straight towards an enclosed mine. Desperately, I slammed on my brakes, attempting to stop. All I wanted to do was stop in time. My heavy train, however, pushed me on, and I went deeper and deeper ahead into the mine. The blockage was right in front of me. "Rachel, stop!" my crew shouted. I tried everything I could, but I wasn't to stop. Goodbye, Nigel, I said in my last words, and I let out one final scream. I had crashed at 40 miles an hour into a closed mine. Me and my 14 cars of dead steam locomotives were derailed or totally destroyed. I suffered the brunt of the impact and was killed instantly. My crew and the guard were also killed. It was so fast, so terrible. My resting place wasn't found until the very next day, where some people overheard the crash and saw flames. My body was totally destroyed and exploded. What's even more worse is that me, as a spirit, had to see, of all engines, Nigel carry my remains to the scrapyard that I was supposed to go to. Parts of me still remain in the mine, however. And Nigel, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry I had to leave him. The fact is, he still works on Sodor. He works the Kronk to Kildane branch line, a small branch line. But I'm gone. Now I am set to wander these grounds forever. I can't get out of this mine. I just can't. My beautiful paint scheme, now rusted up and all melted. I cry in the night. Why? Why did I have to die? Why did I have to die in such a young age? I was only 10 years old. My lover is forced to live on knowing that his lover is now dead. I'm so sorry, Rachel. I'm so sorry. I can't leave this mine. I can't get out. I'm stuck here. Can someone help me please get out of here? No one cares about me. No one remembers me. For I was lost during the Great War. I'm sorry, everyone that I loved so dearly. And now I'm gone. Dead. I just hope if I ever meet Nigel again, he'll understand of what I am now, all rusted up of my former beauty. I just wandered this place, blowing my whistle. It didn't have to happen this way. I didn't have to be killed in such a horrible accident. I guess I'll never escape this mine, and I'm forced to stay here forever. No one to talk to, no one to care about, no one to love. I'm sorry. It's too late for me to move on. I'm sorry. Please, forgive me. Breaking news here from Sodor Radio. We just heard news that a horrific train accident does happen in the Kronk's mine. What had happened was pretty terrible. An engine was carrying 14 cars of scrapyard bound to the Kronk's scrapyard. However, what had happened was that she had entered the mine exactly, and it crashed, causing a huge explosion. The engine and her crew and the guard were killed instantly, along with anything else that was on board the train was completely destroyed. The engine's name was Rachael. The cause of the accident remains unclear, but it is most certainly known that the train had entered into the wrong track, as the siding was proved to be very faulty, and had sent the train into the wrong siding. Instead of going to the Kronk scrapyard, it in fact went for the mine. We'll let you know updated if anything happens, and if so, please stay alert of the war that's currently going on right now. Sir Tom Hat the second says, "We will not let this tragedy still befall us. Rachael was a good engine, and we'll always remember her. Always, always, always."